Hello. I'm here with my monthly look at the previews catalog from Diamond Distribution. Also, the little companions from IDW and Marvel, and the DC catalog, even though they're only available through Lunar. A few days late, sorry. Started a new job. We had short run here in Seattle, so I was able to look at the previews right away, but it's the first time I've had time to sit down and look at it. For the very few of you who actually give a shit, we'll just jump right into it. So, start off with IDW and their wholly unnecessary extra catalog. Paul Smith's Uncanny X-Men Artist Edition. If you are of a certain age, Paul Smith might be the definitive X-Men artist. He was before my time, but I read his work in reprints. I think it's the From the Ashes trade paperback that had some of that stuff in it. Because run on X-Men was 165 to 175. Also the 2-issue crossover event, X-Men Alpha Flight. So, anyway, Paul Smith, I really like his work. I would love to have this book. Don't know if I'll get it, but I would love to have it. Yeah. And he did so little work that you're getting a pretty big chunk of it here, even though it's only 204 pages. That's a nice big chunk of his work, so, which has probably been scattered to the winds and owned by various collectors. Marvel had a couple things I thought were worth at least mentioning, if not buying, but at least mentioning. Marvel Fanfare Omnibus Volume 1. Marvel Fanfare is, I guess it's an anthology title. Each issue kind of had its own story. Maybe they had backups in there. It's hard for me to remember. I have a bunch of these issues just randomly, and some really great people worked on these, but there are also a ton of journeyman and fill-in type issues as well. But in this collection, which collects the first 19 issues of Marvel Fanfare, I think it ran 50-something issues, so this is about the first, third-ish of the run. I find it hard to believe they'll collect all of it, but you never know. But Barry Windsor Smith is in here, Frank Miller, Michael Golden, George Perez, Paul Smith, who I just mentioned, Marshall Rogers, Charles Vess, Gil Kane, Mike Mignola. Yeah, tons of people who were hot shit in the 80s. I believe the Barry Windsor Smith issue is an issue about the Thing. Later on in the run of Marvel Fanfare, there's a really great issue by David Mazzucchelli, which has the Angel from the X-Men in it. Really good issue. Not in this collection, unfortunately. But anyway, just thought I'd mention it. It's so crazy to me that titles like this are getting the omnibus treatment. Less crazy to me, though I do wonder who wanted it, besides someone like me, Strike Force Mortuary. I love Strike Force Mortuary. I think it's a great comic. The first 20 issues by Peter B. Gillis and Brent Anderson are fantastic. Unfortunately, they continued on after those guys left the title, and it went off the rails pretty fast. They had a revival 5-issue miniseries through Epic, Electric Undertow. So this collects Strike Force Mortuary 1 through 31 and that 5-issue miniseries. Like I said, the last 11 issues and the 5-issue miniseries are all pretty forgettable stuff. Almost kind of reminds me of Twin Peaks. Not the revival, but the original show, how it just sort of, once they told you who killed Laura Palmer, the show just sort of went off the fucking rails. And for a time there, David Lynch and Mark Frost weren't even working on the show anymore. Kind of like that. Yeah, they should have just ended the series at issue 20. Not really sure why they didn't, or why the original guys left. I have no idea. I'd love to know. Maybe I'll try to find out. But if anyone out there knows, please let me know if there are any fellow Strikeforce Mortuary diehards out there. But yeah, it's nice to see Marvel digging into some of their odder titles, getting the reprint treatment. For DC, from their DC Finest, these kind of fat trade collections. They're a little pricey. They're $40, but they are hefty. I just thought I'd point out Plastic Man. This is the original Jack Cole stuff. These are great comics. I don't think these have had a real reprinting since the Archives, which are probably 20 years ago at this point. So this might be the first time you've been able to get a big chunk of that material in a really long time. And also Suicide Squad. This collects the first 10 issues of Suicide Squad, plus some other bits and bobs from DC related to the Suicide Squad. Written by John Ostrander, art by Luke McDonnell. I like Suicide Squad. I think it's a nice, fun series. I won't try to oversell it, but it's a nice, fun series. Thought I'd also mention The Authority, Book 1, in these compact books DC's been putting out. The $10 books. So yeah, this is the Warren Ellis, Brian Hitch stuff that's been reprinted 100 times, but was always, it was very popular at the time it came out, did big numbers. I probably read these at the time, but I don't really have much. I remember not being a huge fan. I loved the Stormwatch stuff that came just before it and didn't really enjoy the change too much, but I was definitely in the minority because The Authority did quite well. And so now there's 3 of these little offshoot catalogs, and a retailer I was talking to told me there's about to be a 4th. I think Image is doing their own now. Frankly, it's just ludicrous. Doesn't make any sense to me. But we don't have a monopoly anymore, so I understand why they're trying to protect themselves in case people don't get the previews. From Titan Books, The Collected Will Eisner's John Law. Written by Will Eisner, art by Gary Schaloner, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. There was an issue of John Law that came out, I believe that Eclipse published in the 80s. Sort of thing you could find in quarter bins for many, many years. I'm sure I have one of those in my boxes. Can't say it really stuck with me too much, even though Schaloner's art is pleasing. This is coming out from their Hard Case Crime imprint, which is kind of interesting to me. Probably not something I consider necessary, but it is Eisner, so I thought I would mention it. From Image, Death of Copra, #1, by Michel Fiffe. A lot of diehard Copra fans out there, and I believe he is ending the series. Maybe I'm mistaken about that, but that is that's just the feeling I've gotten from it. Anyway, this is a new miniseries. It's a 1 of 4. I think there have been 50-something issues of Copra, which is a pretty damn good run, especially considering he self-published a lot of it. It's not even pictured because you have to get the adult supplement. Black Kiss Omnibus, 400 pages. Howard Chaykin's adult book, porn book, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure what all is in there since I don't get a full listing here. Yeah, your mileage may vary. I think, Black Kiss is something that sold a lot of copies once upon a time, but isn't really remembered too well at this point. Criminal Volume 1 and Volume 2. Mentioning this just mostly because the first volume is only $10. And I believe it's going to be a TV show soon with Ed Brubaker at the helm. I like those comics. I like that team. So I thought I'd mention it. $10 is a good price to try something out, though it's hard for me to imagine most people watching this have not tried it out. But you never know. I'll skip ahead to Ablaze, a very uneven publisher. This didn't look that great to me, I'll admit, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because the art is by Alex Nino. It's called Alondol. It's a black and white historical fiction graphic novel. The art looks very kind of muddy and unfinished in this sample here. I mean, you probably can't see it too well. If I thought you'd see it any better, I would hold it up close, but I don't think you will. But if you're an Alex Nino fan, here you go. Here's a big book of Alex Nino art. Maybe it looks much better in the final version. He is a wonderful artist, and so I thought it was worth mentioning. Speaking of wonderful artists, but on a book I don't have much use for, Chibi Usagi, Attack of the Heebie-Chibis, Expanded Edition. This is stuff that Stan Sakai's done with his new wife, Julie Sakai. It's sort of a kiddie version of Usagi Yojimbo. Not passing any judgment on it. I'm not interested at all in this. If someone out there thinks it's genius, though, let me know. I'm willing to change my opinion, that's for sure. But on the face of it, I just don't have any interest. Looks like, remember when the X-Men had X-Babies? Just not really my thing. Cerebus. Always on my mind. Not really on anybody else's mind nowadays, understandably. This is, he's done these remastered editions. I have one of these that I tried out, but I don't want to rebuy all the books. But I thought I would mention it here. High Society, which is book 2 of Cerebus. It is the best jumping on point. There's a lot of people who think it's the best Cerebus book. I don't think that, but there's a lot of people who do think that. I think it might have been the most popular it ever was during this period. And it's a great book. It's a 500-page book. That was really remarkable when it came out. Nobody else is doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, these remastered editions are nice though. Kind of crisp white paper. The reprinting is great. They're thicker than the old phone books because of the higher quality paper. So thought I would mention it just in case anybody wants to go down that difficult road of checking out Cerebus. A series I've mentioned in a couple previous videos from Cosmic Lion Productions, Termite Mound number 3 by Matt Howarth. I still haven't read the first issue, so I don't know if it's any good or not, but I've very interested. This is issue 3 of 3, so I thought it was a 4-issue series, but I may be wrong about that. But it's great to have anything by Howarth being printed. And if it's not great, fine. occasionally I will point out something just to bitch about it. This is going to be one of those times. From Edition Skylight, they have a bunch of books that are essentially just, I think, basically model books, nudes, whatever. AI Nudes, The Art of AI-Born Beauties. This is 256 pages. It's a $60 book of AI-generated nude photography. I know that in the comic world, we all hate AI, and I agree with that sentiment, to be clear. But this, I guess I should be surprised it took this long. Maybe these have already been coming out and I just haven't caught them. But Jesus Christ, how pathetic is that? Yeah, just terrible. Let's cleanse our palate and check out our friends from Fantagraphics. Raised by Ghosts by Brianna Lowenson. Her first book was called Ephemera. I think it came out a couple years ago. I liked it. It was almost a wordless book, but it was very nicely made. So I'm curious to see what this one looks like. Don't know anything else about it. War on Gaza by Joe Sacco. This is a comic, 32 pages, big sized, 8.25 by 11.25, so over magazine sized. This is a collection of these strips that ran on TCJ.com. They ran every week for a while. So if you've seen those, I think you've seen what's in here. There may or may not be more material. I don't know, but it's only 32 pages. Will point out that if anyone sees this, $7.99, that is not an accurate price. The current price is $12.99. So just so any potential buyers out there might be aware. I liked all these strips. They're very immediate. There's not an overarching narrative going on. It's really just his reactions to things going on. But I do think Joe Sacco is one of the best living cartoonists. And I'll take something quick from him over nothing at all. Daisy Goes to the Moon by Rick Geary and Matthew Klickstein. This is based on a short story or a novella, I can't remember, by Matthew Klickstein, but it's adapted by Rick Geary. The story is nothing special, frankly, sort of a fantastical tale of a young girl going to the moon, as it says in the title. But Rick Geary's art in this is fantastic. I've read this. I really enjoyed it, at least the Rick Geary part. So, huge Rick Geary fan. I'm happy to see him have a new book out. I wish it was something he was writing as well, but really enjoyed his art on there. Let's see what else we got here. From Floating World, American Nature Presents #2. This is from Greg and Fake, who put out the Santos Sisters. The first issue, I didn't know what to expect. I ordered it because it had Josh Pettinger and the Santos Sisters, and I thought, oh, I'll see what this is. And when I got it, it's basically a zine that has some comics in it. And I really enjoyed it. It's comic book sized. It is on newsprint. And it just had a nice little mix of articles and stuff. I really enjoyed it. More than I expected to. It was a very satisfying read. And I hope they keep doing them. Like I said, I really enjoyed the first one. Grand Electric Thought Power Mother. Not published by Floating World, so I think they're just distributing it. I think it's published by Perfectly Acceptable Press. This is a gorgeous book. I haven't read it yet, but I did pick it up a couple weeks ago. Just a gorgeous book by Lale Westvind. Their previous book was called Grip, and it's a modern classic. It's a phenomenal book. Very exciting that they've put out another big beefy book. This is 336 pages. Anyway, can't necessarily recommend the book because I haven't read it yet. I will say it's a gorgeous object. If you have the chance to read Grip, buy it, borrow it, check it out from the library if your library is that cool. Definitely worth checking out. This is another book that I think is self-published. Revelations in the Wink of an Eye by Jeffrey Lewis. I found out about this because it was being carried on Domino Books. An essential site for anyone out there. Please go check out Domino Books. This is basically a book-length examination of Watchmen, and it is very impressive looking. Once again, I haven't read it yet, but I ordered it as soon as I saw it. Jeffrey Lewis is a cartoonist. He's published by Fantagraphics. He's self-published his comics, but here he's written this whole book about Watchmen. Looks great. 144 pages. Yeah, very cool. Looking forward to digging into it as soon as I can. Here's another very cool book, which has been available for a while, but this is the first time I've seen it in the catalog. You can get this on Amazon anytime you want. From Timms and Hudson Comics, 1964 to 2024. This is the catalog that goes with the giant exhibit that was in Paris this year. That I unfortunately wasn't able to go, but everyone that I heard from that did go to see it said it was mind-blowing and amazing. The book is also mind-blowing and amazing. 10 by 13, 288 pages, hardcover. I believe there's also a soft cover available. Yeah, I'm not sure. Can't remember which one mine is. Anyway, a fantastic book, and it obviously isn't full-size artist edition, but it is, high-quality scans of great art presented in that fashion. So with, all of the Europeans are in there, all your Mobiuses and your Maneras, just an unbelievable list of artists. It's a very cool book. Can't remember if I've seen anyone doing a video on it or not. I don't know. Maybe I should do one at some point. But it's a fantastic looking book. Highly recommend checking it out if you can. From Tomorrow's Back Issue Magazine. I don't think I had any particular reason to point this out. It's the Hey Mr. issue, so Mr. Fantastic, Mr. A, Mr. Monster, Mr. X, Mr. Natural. Anyway, back issue, fun magazine. Sometimes I get them, sometimes I don't. But it's one of the two Tomorrow's magazines I think is always worth kind of mentioning. And then for manga, I think it's all kind of familiar faces. Trillion Game Volume 3. Main reason to point this out is the art. Ryoichi Ekigami, fantastic artist. Also should mention this, a manga I haven't read. If anyone out there thinks I need to read it no matter what, please let me know. Vagabond. This is a new printing of these. $55 hardcovers. So I don't know that I'm going to sign on for that kind of series. Especially when I don't know how many volumes it is. But maybe it's just one volume. I don't know. Anyway, I know it's a big name by Takahiko Inoue, if I'm saying that correctly. Anyway, art looks great. I know it's one of the name mangas, so I figured I would mention it. There was a nice new definitive version coming out. And then as I mention all the time, Mao Volume 19 by Rumiko Takahashi. Not sure how many more of these there are, but she's a great cartoonist. I think she went into the Eisner Hall of Fame in the last couple years. But I think this is the only thing being published by her at the moment over here. But I think they've worked their way through her other big series. And that's it. Honestly, kind of a slim month. Not that I'm complaining. I love to see tons of great shit, but of course, my wallet gets scared. If you have any thoughts, complaints, concerns, criticisms, please let me know. Love to hear feedback from anyone who watches these things. And hopefully I pointed out a couple things you might not have been aware of. All right. Thanks.